So this week on Alex's Garage, I promise this is not going to become a fishing channel. But as I was waiting on parts for the MG, I decided to go fishing. I had a couple of these old paddle boards from back in the day when I used to spend a lot of time surfing, and so I decided I wanted to go fishing, and these paddle boards needed a little bit of improvement in order to make that happen. So let me run you down the little modifications that I did on this and some of the results that I had out on the lake today. So first thing, the biggest thing here is an addition of this nifty little cooler by Magellan. It comes with rod holders and it's a dry box. If you were to throw it into the water, it's sealed and water doesn't get in there. It's really nifty lid. Has space to put tackle and whatnot in there. But it has a little space to keep your pliers on this side. And I added these Velcro strips for putting the rod holders on. So if the board were to tip over, you wanted to make sure that we don't lose the fishing rods. So I added these little straps to make sure that the fishing rods stay connected to the board. With that in mind, I also added these little straps here, and I'll show you the modification that I did on the board to make it so that we could put this box into play. So these boards are fiberglass. Unlike most kayaks where they're sort of a PVC material and you can run screws into it, this is fiberglass over foam. And so in order to put a mounting piece in here, you would have to drill all the way through and have an anchor on the bottom. What I chose to do instead was I got some of these contact strips. These are available at the Home Depot or whatever hardware store that you have. But the two-sided tape inserts that go on these contact strips wasn't going to do the deal. So I used some E6000. I've talked about that E6000 glue before. It's really great stuff. I took a heat gun and I melted it so that it would fit on the curve. You can see like that, and I glued these things on here. Now, these particular connectors are really nifty because they're really easy to take apart, and they're not something that's going to affect the way that the device handles in the future. It doesn't affect any of the board handling or anything like that. But let me show you how the box connects on here. All right, so you can see here we've got this little nylon strap on here. Normally there's a handle or a shoulder strap that goes on this, but I decided to use this and repurpose it with some cargo straps that I had. These are not like wrenching straps. They just have a little bite. So you get them to where you need them, and then you connect it on here. Now, taking these apart and the whole idea was to make it so that it'd be real easy to go fishing, and I don't have to have a whole lot of stuff stored in the garage. I have these mounted on the wall, so I can take this fishing box off really quickly, and you can see it just goes like this, boop, and off it goes. So that thing comes right off just fine. So one of the things when you're putting these boxes on that you have to kind of be aware of, you can't just throw a box on. You have to find the center of gravity. So when you're sitting on a box, your weight comes back behind center. So what I did is I put this in my pool. I'll show you a quick video. How much of the board is buried?
It's under about a half-inch of water.
Is it underwater?
Yeah, slightly. I can zoom in and show you a picture.
Let's go here then. How about that?
I mean, it doesn't seem like no matter what you do, it's going to be about a half-inch of water. But that's a good spot. That's actually a good spot.
Is the back awash?
No.
Was it awash before?
Not by much. It was like maybe, like I said, about a half-inch.
But it was underwater?
Yeah.
So having it here is better.
Okay.
All right, so and then if I want to stand up, I'm standing up. and I'm on center of gravity now. So I could see where the optimal placing for this was, so that I could sit on it and still have really good board handling characteristics, and still make that work. So once you find out where you're going to have it, then you have to kind of figure out how you're going to use it. So when you're paddling, you're dealing with with your paddle. You have your paddle right here, and you're paddling, swoosh, 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 right? But then when you decide you want to go fishing, you don't want to lose your paddles. So when you're when you're paddling along and you want to transition from fishing to paddling, all you need to do is just put the paddle into the little groove here and give it a push. So you just give it a little push, and these little flexible knobbies here, they grab onto it. And so we can reach back, grab your fishing pole, throw a couple lines in, do what you're going to do. And then when you want to get back to maybe adjusting where your location is, you can just put the fishing pole right back into the rod holder and just grab your paddle, and it just comes right out. And that's a really great little addition. And so anyway, the next thing I want to talk about is these rod holders. So I added this Velcro. That's kind of a slam dunk. It's real easy. The idea here being that when you put a rod in there, here, let me grab a rod. So when you have a rod in here, you can just grab the Velcro and then grab your rod and do your fishing. When you get done, you start moving on. Then you just put the Velcro back on over the top of the hook here, and it was really convenient. It doesn't impair your ability to use the rod or gain access to it. It's really easy. But one of the things that I want to mention in here that I made a minor modification on is, hang on, let me get this out of here. So one of the things I made a modification on, and you'll see on here. When these rod holders are not permanent, they're an addition and they go in right here. But when you move this back and forth, it tended to want to come off. So when I was testing on it, it would slide down and then it would come off. And then if you wrenched on it, you wouldn't have a rod holder anymore, and it would be floating off into the lake. So what I ended up doing was, and man, I should take out stock on that E6000. I put a little dollop of that E6000 in here just to keep this from sliding down into the exit hole. And so that makes it more permanent, and it's still something you can take apart if you want. It's not permanent glue, but it will keep this in place when you're moving it back and forth and putting torque on it. All right, let me go over a couple more of the little features of this Magellan cooler. It's really cost effective. It has a lot of features, and you'd think, okay, it's a cooler. How much can it do for you, right? So when you're fishing and you get a fish with a hook stuck in there, you want to be able to get your pliers really quick. But when you're out on the lake, you don't want your pliers to get lost. So what they got a little hook here, a little thing where you can hook your pliers in, and I got a little holder for my pliers. So even if this thing went upside down, everything would stay together, and I'd be able to flip it back over, and we'd be right back to fishing. And so having this little extra strap right here makes it real easy. And it doesn't make it any more difficult for you to get this other rod holder for both rods. And I had two rods, one for low water and one for top water. And you want to pre-rig those. It makes it real easy. So when you're fishing, you can just say, oh, look, there's a fish over there and he's eating the bugs at the top. So you just change one rod to the other and you go to your top water rod. And that works out really well. But one of the other things that we really wanted to do when we first talked about taking the paddleboard fishing with us was, when you're shore fishing, you can only get as far as you can cast. And so you always know that the bigger fish are always going to be out there in the deeper water, and you can hardly ever get to them. It's really difficult. So with a paddleboard, though, you can take and rig up a catfish line or something with a big leader or a big weight on it, and drag it out a couple hundred yards and drop it where you know that there's a big drop off and the big fish are. And we did that. I ended up getting a nearly 3-pound catfish, and that's what I'm having for dinner tonight. Woohoo! There you go. Right, woohoo! So anyway, this is really quick, just a diversion, if you will. I promise to all of you who are subscribed, I am not turning this into a fishing channel, but this is Alex's garage, and it happens to be what Alex is doing today in the garage. So if you're into fishing, maybe don't subscribe, but if you're into someone who's working in the garage, working on cars and figuring out how to solve problems, this is a great solution. The real advantage to having a stand-up paddleboard for fishing is that you don't have to worry about storing a boat or towing a boat, and you still get all the advantages to fishing with a boat. So there you go. Have a good day. Make sure if you like this, comment, like, and subscribe.